Hey guys, welcome to the fandom. It's been, by my account, roughly 2 months since I did one of these, so forgive me. This is very weird to get back into. Um, so a lot has happened. Obviously, it's been basically 2 months. Um, for starters, I turned 22 about 2 days ago. I'm old now. But I guess the biggest news is, as you can see, I'm in a very different room, um, with the girly accoutrements. This is not my room. I am back in the United States. I am back in Washington. In fact, I'm back in Redmond, where I grew up, my hometown. And I'm living with my best friend's family. I'm sure I've mentioned Shrimp before, but she's one of my oldest friends. And I moved back, and instead of moving in with my mom and dad, I decided, hey, you know what? They're willing to take me in, and I need to find a place, and I need to get settled, and like all that kind of stuff. I need to make money again. So I'll go, instead of living with mom and dad, go live with them. And there's that. I came back March 15th. March 14th. March 14th. Um, it drove 10 hours, 11 hours ish, maybe a little more. From Calgary to Vancouver. Met up with my dad in Vancouver. Uh, moved all my crap into his car. I drove a Chevy Malibu, which was a really nice car for that long of a drive, and I could fit all my stuff in it, which was the best. But moved all my stuff into Dad's car and came back, and that was another 3 hours to get up to North Bend. That was a long day, mildly expensive day, but the gas prices had literally just tanked, so I didn't pay that much in gas really over the long haul, and I was using my American credit card to pay for everything, which meant that everything was 20 to 30% less because the Canadian dollar had collapsed. Um, so that was that trip. I obviously didn't think to record it or anything. It'd already been a month since I put up one of these at that point. But that was a lot of fun. Well, not fun, but that was a very interesting experience. I got to see a lot of that the pit bits and pieces in there, and I don't understand how people can live in those mountains. Like, they're 3 hours away from any major city. That's weird. Um, but it wasn't horrible. It's good to be back. I really missed all the green and all the lushness. But I think the big part of why the last time I put up a vlog, I mentioned that I was probably planning to come home, if I remember correctly. And I think I kind of stopped doing this because for me, a large part of why I was doing these was so I could have a record of how I felt while I was not living at home, kind of off on this adventure. And the minute I went, oh, I'm moving home, my brain went, well, you don't need to do this anymore because you're moving back to everything you know. But I think it's worth to doing this again because it was fun, really. And it's also just, I think it's a good thing for me, so I have a record about what I'm thinking a lot of the time. So, what else have I been doing? That was obviously the biggest piece of news, was that I came home. I've been looking for work, not fantastically. I need to look harder. I need to do better. I'm still unemployed. I've been here about 3 weeks now, hitting 4, which is too long to not have had a job. But this these people, my friends, family, are in the process of moving to Issaquah, and I'm going with them. So a lot of like my work, looking around and stuff, has been kind of put on hold because it's really awkward to not know where I'm going to end up and what the situation's going to be like just yet, or when we're moving. Like, so I haven't been looking for work. That's the excuse I've been using. But it's still, I think, a valid one. And the other half of that is I have no idea what the heck I want to do at all. I poking around at technical writing, poking around at a few other things, but like what I'm actually wanting to do is well beyond me. Well, aside from going back to school and getting my PhD, but I need a job for that, and I need money for that, and I need a lot of things for that. That list goes on and on. But so that's the other bit of that. And then I guess what else have I done that's been big? I had an anime convention. I got to go to SoccerCon. Loved it, kind of, not really, sort of. The Masquerade was awesome. The Masquerade and Friday for the most part was a pretty good day. And that Masquerade is one of my favorite events of the year. And I met some pretty cool girls there. Not that I got names or anything. And there's a few people who want to hit me for that. But so of course that was awesome. They played a few more pop songs and like, dancing songs rather than ballroom dancing songs than I would have liked. But it wasn't horrible all around. And at that event, I don't care. Like I'm like, okay, I can just kind of flail for this. But the entire atmosphere of the convention was really low key, and I think it was because Emerald City was the week before it, Emerald City Comic Con. So you got a lot of people who did both, but that means they were burned out because 2 conventions in a row is exhausting. And yes, my wrists are bugging me today, so it's braces for my wrists. But so I think that was part of it. But so the whole atmosphere of the convention just didn't quite feel right. And me and Taylor ended up not going Sunday. We decided it was better not to go Sunday. There's some pictures of me out there. I haven't managed to collect a bunch of them. Friday was a musketeer because I always go to the Masquerade as a soldier, and that's the only outfit I have since Mom was supposed to make me a Commander Shepard outfit and never did. And then Saturday I went as Gun Gale Online Kirito from Sword Art Online because that was the costume my mom found as here's your birthday present and the fact that I didn't make you a costume. And for that I actually shaved all this off and I look like a doof without it. That's what I've decided. I look like a doof without it now. The other big news is I have a pair of short stories set in my world. All my writing is, for the most part, that I've kind of looked at, and they're complete little narrative arcs on their own. And so I'm getting people to clean them up, and I'm actually going to put them up on Amazon pretty soon. I want to do it within this month, which isn't soon, but it's better than nothing. So I want to do that. And because right now I have a lot of free time, that's what I've been doing a lot of is working on my writing. But I'm also going to try to get up another Fandom Through the Ages video. I've got a couple super awesome books. One second. Yes, I know this makes great video. That are from the library. And I actually went to a real library. One is Arabian Folktale. And then the other one is Japanese myth, and I still need to read through more of it. I'm kind of poking through them, but I think there'll be at least a good story or two out of those. And there's a few other things. I started some research on my paper that I've been dying to do about the history of coffee shops, but again, it's one of those papers, kind of like the mythology one with Doctor Who, that I want to do as my PhD or whatever, that needs a library resource like the academic libraries of universities, because I can find a lot of information, but I can't access a lot of those journals. I can't access a lot of those things. And I would benefit from somebody who did a more dedicated anthropology degree, giving me some terms to use. But I want to follow not the history. It's not the history of like Starbucks or, what came before Starbucks. It's the history of that concept of a place, which I learned the term for it is the third space. which is the place you go that isn't work and isn't home. It's the place you choose to go to in your free time. And a lot of people do coffee shops, Starbucks and stuff. But I want to look into like what that third place has been in pop culture for a long time, because I know tea houses in China and Japan were a big part of it. And then there were pubs, public houses, and apparently in Germany there was something like sausage bars. And Rome, I think it was the Roman baths, but I haven't found anything specific. But I have a feeling it was probably the baths were the place you would go and you would talk to people. And I'm very curious about why we use coffee shops as a place where people meet up for talking, for writing, for work, for dates. You know, why do you do it? But it also makes a lot of sense. Like, of course you do it. That, for me, I'm like, duh. So I want to kind of look into that. And I started my research on that. So anytime I get really bored and I don't want to write my narrative story, I'll kind of poke around and do a little more research there. Yeah, that's me catching you up. So we'll see how long this stays, this background. But I know this weekend we're painting their new place. So not for very much longer. I'm going to try to do more of these. There's not a lot happening, so I can't promise that it's going to be interesting. But it's worth doing. Probably weekly, if not bi-weekly. My goal is weekly. Sometimes I'm not good at my goal. The other thing is, if you want to keep up to date with me, I'm not like updating on my daily life, but my daily kind of random thoughts that I have. I've started using Twitter more, and I'll put that in the description. Adios.